What's up, guys? I just got back from the Latin American International Championships, which were held in Sao Paulo, Brazil, literally maybe 20 minutes ago. And I am here to bring you a tournament report about the very interesting deck my group ended up playing, why we played this 60, how we came to this conclusion, why I think it was a little bit of a mistake, my 9 rounds, how I got a little bit unlucky, and all that good story time for you all. That being said, before I jump into any of that, I did qualify for the World Championships off of the back of this tournament. So I will be attending the World Championships of Hawaii for 2024. So yay, congrats to me. Thank you, guys. Thank you, But okay, anyway. So testing began for Paradox Rift, and there was a lot of decks that caught our group's attention. And we were just kind of going through the motions, picking stuff out, trying decks. Everyone had their own idea of how the game is supposed to work. That's how testing groups should work. It should be a clash of ideas until the best idea comes out on top. For me, the decks that were performing the best in my own individual testing were Champao and Arvinzard with Bibarel. So I was convinced the best way to play Arvinzard was with TMs and Bibarel. And that's kind of where our first fatal flaw came in, where when we began testing, we had all unanimously agreed that people would, play what we thought was the best. They would ignore the Pidgeot versions that have been doing well, and these cards wouldn't really be played. So our testing became that for Zard. Xander was pretty locked on this idea of Accelgor being very good into cards like Roaring Moon and Charizard, which was absolutely accurate. And then Reagan was pretty convinced that it was good as well. Victor was working very, very hard on Iron Valiant builds, and he thought that deck had a lot of potential, or something with Comfy, because that's his comfort deck. But we couldn't find something that really stuck, that we thought would be really good into a blind metagame. Sablezard into a known metagame feels very good. Valiant into a known metagame feels pretty good. With 18% Guardy, we saw how Noah Sawyer got to second place with his Iron Valiant Entei deck, which made a lot of sense. He hit the right matchups, dodged the wrong ones, and we get there. So we just kept playing games, and this deck kept just winning, or going even with pretty much everything. At the fundamental end of the day, the deck is slightly Path, Judge, Mew deck, so you have the core of Path and Judge with a thin Mew line with a 3-2 line, but it's all you really need, honestly, in a lot of games. And the 2-2 Accelgor can also just be a really good attacker in a lot of situations. Ninja Tornado is pretty good into things like Guardy and other decks where you just want to have an off-prize trader. So 2-2 Accelgor also makes it so against like Roaring Moon or Charizard, you just get like 2 Shelmets into play pretty early, attack with 1, and then they come back into you. So you have a game plan into pretty much every matchup realistically, and I'll kind of break it down as I go in as well. The list is pretty interesting, as you can see. The supporters, like Silene is a very interesting supporter to have. The idea is that we want to reuse power tablets in the Charizard matchup, because realistically we'll probably need 6 or 5 tablets in a match actually. We have Palpad to basically reuse any of these guys, which is normal. Super Rod, because you need to chain these Accelgors as well as using the grass energies in the Charizard and Roaring Moon matchups, which makes a lot of sense as well, and it kind of helps out with the 3-2 Mew line. Super Rod was actually very good throughout the day. The ball cards were Hisuian, Feather, Level, and Nest. Nest Ball being the most useless, honestly, for me throughout the day, which is kind of funny, but I think you still have to play 1 Nest, 1 Feather. The Level Ball was interesting, but I don't think I used it that often. I think I would have preferred, something a little bit more interesting than that card. Maybe like a Town Store, or like just another path bump sometimes, because I got stuck under my own path a couple times, which I know, it's like a self-imposed problem. We played 2 basic energies and 1 fusion. The idea was just that we could the basic grass energies were, we had a Vessel in here for quite a while actually, and so the Vessel was the reason the basic grasses were in here, to use on our Accelgors, as well as attach twice to Mew potentially if we need to, and Super Rod was really good. The 1 Fusion Strike made sense in a vacuum behind how we wanted to play it. Also, I guess you only really need 1 Genesect against Spiritomb decks potentially, but I guess the biggest Spiritomb deck that we were going to deal with was Giratina. That being said, this is the 60 we settled on. Our group actually performed pretty well. 10 people played the deck. The 3 people who picked up the deck last minute only got points and were never in win-in contention. The 7 of us that were playing it from day 1, 3 people made it through to day 2, and 4 people lost win-ins, which was a little bit disheartening. But overall, I think we should have performed a little bit better, but we called the metagame a little bit wrong, which is on us. But we went for an all or nothing play, and I don't think any one of us is that disappointed in how we did. We went for a gamble, and it was a gamble that did not pay off. So that is the story of this video. So Into the tournament we go. Round one, I go up against Dan Hugar, a North American player whose name I've recognized here and there. We're chit-chatting for about 25 minutes, before round one kicks off. There's a little bit of delays, things are going on, and Dan flips over a Spirit Tomb. Immediately my heart sinks. I'm like, okay, it's just round one, it happens. Could have expected this from an American player to bring techs for Mew. Of course, Dan and I kind of go back and forth in game one. He has a terrible start, so he abyss seekings 3 times, which actually gives me an avenue into the game. And I end up getting down to 1 prize, but I actually can't close it out because he puts a path into play, and I believe he rock sands us, and I just end up seeing no cards to play out of it. I think I was a 2 actually. I might have been a 2, and I had to take out a Tina, and I think I had the resources to do it. I just obviously couldn't do it under path. I did find an early boss on the Spirit Tomb, which helped out. Game 2, I played the whole game under Tomb, super, super well, and I set up for a Ninja Tornado for game over 2, I have 2 turns to do it basically, and so I leave my deck with a rope and 2 boss in there, and all 3 of those win me the game. And I draw for turn, and it's a Chromatic, and I have to pass because I don't want to take those cards out of the deck. There's probably 18 cards in my deck, maybe 19 cards. And so I pass over to Dan. Dan gets free knockout into me. Or I pass a Genesect Active or something, or maybe a Baby Mew, and he bosses my Mew VMAX, which had a DT on it as well. And he takes that out. And I draw for turn. It's none of those cards. And so I go for a Chromatic at 1 prize. And if I hit heads here, I guarantee myself the boss, win the game. And then there was probably 2 minutes or 3 minutes left on the clock, so we would have tied for sure. But I end up hitting tails, so I lose this game, and I lose the set. So Chromatic gives, Chromatic takes away. Round 2, I go into Marcelo Guarita, who's playing Charizard with Pidgeot. Game 1, he pretty much gets completely set up perfectly, and I have some really awkward draws. And somewhere in the middle of the game, he grabs a Spirit Tomb and puts it on his bench, and I was like, oh, what? And I concede at that point immediately. Game 2, he fills his bench without ever putting it down, so I'm able to just kind of run him over. I get a board set up, and by the time he puts it into play, it's irrelevant for me. I'm just coasting at this point. Game 3, Marcelo opts to go first because of the Shelmets, and has a pretty insane double VIP start, attaches to Entei, gets the ball rolling pretty early, takes the first 2 prizes, doesn't get a Tomb down, so I think it's prized. And I think he took prizes 3 and 4 on another boss play, and I Iono him with Path, and I take my prizes, and then he gets the Tomb off of those prizes, plus Arven to vacuum away my Stadium, Pidgeot for I don't know, some other card. He just gets a perfect setup off of any disruption I was able to do. So I just needed him to stop for 1 turn. I would have won the game, but it ended up being a nail biter where unfortunately I couldn't keep him, I couldn't stall him out to the point I needed to. So I started 0-2, which is a really terrible place to be in a tournament. Does not feel good. Round 3, Jose Antonio de Silva Jr., he goes ahead and is playing Palkia Bibarel stuff. And game 1 starts, and immediately he goes and VIP passes for a Tomb, and my heart sinks. I'm like, oh, my tournament's going to be an 0-3. I am going to lose this. It's over. It's over. I got the bad end of the variance with Tom. I'm the Mew friend that hit all the bad matchups, But he has a really slow start, and my opening hand is actually really good, and I got to go first. So I have cards to play with. I evolve, I attach to Mew, I tablet, I path, and I have a Judge in hand, but I don't want to play it yet because I have a switch still, so I can attack again. And so I just knock out its active, like Palkia. And he promotes Bidoof, gets another Bidoof, Bibarel, all that stuff, Tomb, pass. Then we go pass. He goes pass, I go knockout after using switch. He goes pass, I go knockout active. He goes pass, I hit into active, pass, win game. So, or over the course of 6 turns. So nothing happened in game 1. I was breathing a sigh of relief. Game 2, he fills his board because he opened Luminion, I believe, and he gets Chanpal, Palkia, Bidoof. So he fills his board with stuff that isn't Tomb, and so I actually play the game the way I want to start the game, wait till he puts Chien-Pao in the active, take that knockout for 2. He comes up with Palkia and hits into my Mew. I one-shot the Palkia, and then that's where he gets tombed down, but he doesn't have a hand disruption card, so I just have game on a second Chien-Pao he benched already. And so I'm just able to win that. So I breathe a sigh of relief that I'm able to scrape by with my life. Round 4 I go up against Elton, who's playing Miraidon, and both games Elton just like hits like no generators, and I just kind of completely high roll sweep him. Like his hands were both completely dead, where I just went like 2-2-2 over like I attacked 6 times and the game was over kind of thing. So Miraidon super easy, and then I hit Lucas, who's playing Roaring Moon, probably one of my best matchups, and it went exactly like that. Like I just put the guys down. Lucas understood immediately what was going on, and I just kind of went pop, pop, pop. So I'm now 3-2, feeling a little bit better because like the games where I'm not hitting these Spirit Tomb decks, the deck is functioning. The deck is working the way it's supposed to. It's working as intended, and I feel good. I feel really good about that. And then round 6 I go against Joao, who is playing Tina. We have like a 30-minute game one that goes really back and forth, but I end up taking it in like a very close series of events. And so I'm breathing a sigh of relief. I'm like, okay, Tina is probably like the longest matchup that happens usually. I am relieved that I am able to steal a game here, basically. And game 2, there's like 14 minutes on the clock, and I'm pretty sure we're not going to finish the game. As long as I can set up and play normally. And he gets a tomb out immediately. And I'm like, okay, dude, this is ridiculous. So my 4th tomb of the day hits the board. And this game is a quick wrap up because like my opening hand was pretty dead. I didn't have like anything. I had like a VIP pass and like an Ultra Ball. So I go get the 4 Pokemon and I basically just have to pass. And then he just goes, cram into my active. I go draw, pass, cram my active, draw, pass, cram my active, draw. Just, you know the drill. I just died in like 5 turns. And there's like 40 seconds on the clock going into game 3, so we don't actually end up getting set up for game 3, so it's a blessing in disguise, I think, for me, because we end up taking a tie. And I feel like he should have just scooped game 1 if he knew he has 2 in his deck, which I think he was like upset about a little bit, but I think he was just happy to still be in the tournament. Round 7 goes to Victor, who's playing Miraidon as well, and this one just like, both games he doesn't really do much. He opens Iron Hand's actually one of the games, which is like really bad for him, and I open Shelmet, which is even worse for me, but I just start spit beaming it, and that damage ends up being relevant later on for me to win the game because I can just vacuum his charm and I don't need tablets to one shot, which was really funny. So yeah, really cool set, a lot of fun. Then I hit Natalio, who we were playing an incredibly close set where I win game 1, or I lose game 1, win game 2. In game 1 I have a play where I boss up his 1 Tina V-Star, his lone Tina V-Star, double tablet choice belt, and I draw like pretty much with 4 Genesects and I whiff a DTE to take a knockout, which really sucked because that just put me so far behind in that matchup. And then in game 3, we were going to tie, but I was in a completely dominating board position. So Natalio did honor our gentlemen and concede to me in that situation, which was, I really appreciate that because it keeps my tournament dream alive. And then I go up against Thomas in the final round, or Tomas, playing a Gardevoir. In game 1, Thomas just rolls me. Game 2, I use a bunch of Ninja Tornadoes. And game 3 is like a nail biter back and forth where I realize I have to Silene a tablet on top of my deck to go for a 4-tablet boss play, and I basically go through my entire deck with 2 Cramtails on the same turn, and the 4th tablet was the bottom 2 cards in my deck, but I did get lucky because Tomas did miss his Stadium out the turn before to just go Stadium out, Screamtail, knockout for game, basically. So I got lucky to be even given a turn to do that, and it felt like I definitely could have won that and should have won that given the turn opportunity I had, but it hurts, obviously, being so close to day 2 and losing in the manner that I did. I think I definitely played pretty well across the day, but my deck did not give me the greatest resources to outplay myself or outplay people. But I would definitely have played this again if I went. My other option would have probably been Chien-Pao, which is still a fine play. But all that being said, I am very happy to have gone. I'm very happy to have picked up my World Championships invite. I am very grateful for all the fans and people who came up this weekend. It was really cool to see a lot of Latin American fans that I normally wouldn't be able to meet. You guys are awesome. The passion exuded at this tournament in particular is absolutely insane, and it blows me away every year. So thank you guys. I appreciate it. And Next step for me is a fun surprise. You guys will see that on the channel in a little bit. So thank you for watching. Hopefully you have enjoyed the journey so far to Worlds. There's going to be more of this season still coming up. So please like and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. And thank you so much.